Hi. So, singleness. Talking about singleness and the Bible. So I myself am a single girl who, believes in the Lord, is a Christian. And I live in this beautiful house, excuse the dog toys, with a very single mom. Yeah, like my mama, no judgment. And so obviously we are both two single women. She has been married before and is divorced. I have not been married. And I am single. And so obviously singleness comes up a lot at my house. And though there are times where we'll be praying, be like, he's gonna come and he's gonna come, which I'm sure you've told yourself or your girlfriends have told you. Somebody at some point in their life has said that to you, or you've said it to somebody. But then there are times where we go through spells where we're just like, well, where is he at? We don't feel like waiting anymore. And we get frustrated and we get impatient, and it just doesn't go very well. Or then we start talking like, oh my gosh, what do you think he's gonna be like? And kind of start making our lists a little bit as if it's like Christmas, which it's not. But I think what I've kind of figured out about myself. So I already knew I was not ready to be in a relationship yet. I told my mom that, told a few girlfriends that. I'm like, listen, I have to work on me, because that's one thing I think a lot of us don't think about, is we think, oh, I want him. I want someone to be here and cuddle me and spoil me, or whatever you want a man, Maybe you just are ready to start a family. You feel as though you're ready to start a family. But we have to think, I've heard we attract what we are. So we have to get ourselves right, because we're going to attract what we have. So if I feel like I'm not right with the Lord, then obviously I don't want a man, because am I going to attract somebody who's going to help me be close to the Lord? And that's possible. Could happen. It's happened in relationships, but there's always that risk. So I was feeling lonely and single after reading a romance novel. Was probably not my wisest choice, but it's what I did. And I love rom-coms, and those never make me sad. But I read a romance novel. So I started reading my Bible, and the Lord hurt my feelings. He did. I was just like, what? Because I was reading in the Bible how it talks about, some people are called to be single. And it's true. Look at Mark Lowry, okay? He's still single. I mean, he's happy he's single. He's got a good career. Good for you, Mark Lowry. But it is where is it? Okay, so in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, twice it talks about being unmarried. The first time is in verse 8. It says, now to the unmarried and the widows I say, it is good for them to stay unmarried. Yeah, as I do. But if they cannot control themselves, they should marry, for it is better to marry than to burn with passion. So marriage wasn't supposed to be, marriage was supposed to keep you from sin, okay? Because, when you have sex outside of sin, outside of marriage, that is considered a sin. And, you were supposed to become one with a person, which is the physical act of sex. And, you were supposed to be married to them, and you became one flesh, and then you were committed to that person. Hey, we did the deed, now it's you and me. That's what it was supposed to be. But again, in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, if you go to verse 34, it says, an unmarried woman or virgin is concerned about the Lord's affairs. Her aim is to be devoted to the Lord in both body and spirit. But a married woman is concerned about the affairs of this world, how she can please her husband. And that was another thing, and that one bugged me when I first read it, because it made so much sense. If you don't have a man, if you don't have kids, if you're not married, You know, you're going to be thinking about, like, how can I get closer to the Lord? You're going to have more time to focus on your Bible, focus on praying. You're not going to have, you know, a marriage to work on. You're not going to have counseling or getaways, okay? You know, you're going to be just more focused on the Lord. And it's like, like, that's how I felt. And sorry, I had a notification. I'm doing this on my phone. Apologize. But then, like, that made sense to me too. But then with that came the idea, though, that it's like, okay, because I don't believe a lot of people are called to be single. I really don't. I think we are all sinners. We all have flesh. And let's be honest, it's hard to refrain from sexual sin, okay? But I do think that while we are single, while we can focus on things above, that should be our main focus right now. Because I mean, in another Bible verse I have for you, Matthew chapter 6 verse 33, it says, "But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." So like we're supposed to seek him first, like above all things. And if we can't practice seeking him before we're married, how on earth are we gonna have the time to start once we get married? You know, how are we gonna figure it out? You know, if we don't have time for the Lord now, we are not gonna have it later. Or if we're not happy with our lives now, why would we be happy then when there's another person? Because I mean, let me tell you, marriage is beautiful. It is. And I mean, I hope to one day be married. And I hope for everybody who's watching this and anybody who wants to be married, I hope one day you are married. I really do. I'm going to be praying for you. Leave it in the comments. I'll pray for you. But I mean, we don't think about how much harder marriage is going to be. We see, oh my gosh, I want to plan a wedding. Don't worry. I have a Pinterest board too. I'm not judging anybody. Or we think about the fun parts of being married, but we don't think about the hard parts about being married, because you come together as one, but you still got two different brains that think two different ways. There's a lot of compromise, and there's going to be arguments. And another thing to think about is, it's like, if you truly want to get married and you truly want to be in this, like, we're committed, you know, I got your back, you got my back, like, we are in this till death do us part. Another thing you have to think about is, like, what about in 20 years? When it's not as new and it's not as cute and the wedding is over, and, you know, there's just, I think we truly have to better ourselves before we can get another person. And we have to truly learn to love ourselves before we can honestly truly love another person too. Because I've been there where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I just want someone to love me. Like, I don't love myself, but like, I need him to teach me to love me. And if he loves me, then I'll love me. Oh, honey, no. Honey, no. No. That's not how it works. It's just not. And I mean, last scripture, Proverbs 31 verses 10 through 31. It is about the wife of noble character. And let me just tell you, this woman does a lot. And I want to be a good wife. I want to be a biblical wife. I want to be a blessing to my husband. And it talks about that as well in here. It's about a lot of things in here. But I mean, like, she's got so much going on. And that's another thing you have to think about is, like, you think, oh my gosh, I'm too busy with work that I'm like so tired. I'm too tired to go out and meet somebody. I can say that because I've used that excuse. I have. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm too tired. My back feels like it's broken. Like, I don't want to go out, you know, God will send him. It's okay. It's okay. I'm just going to go home. But it's like, she's got a lot going on. I'm just going to read it, okay? A wife of noble character who can find. She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She is like the merchant ship, bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it is still night. She provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her task. She sees that her trading is profitable, and her lamp does not go out at night. In her hand she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. Yeah, if you're a respectable guy. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies the merchants with sashes. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. I was talking to my mom last night, and I was like, you know what I need to work on before I get married? Emotionally, because there's, career stuff too. Emotionally, I'm like, oh, I need to work on communication. Not only that, but this woman is going to the grocery store. Yeah, she's bringing the food from afar. Her light does not go out, okay? When you have kids and a husband and he gets sick at night, who's getting up to take care of them? She's helping the poor. She makes her own earnings. Yes, you can work too. I know women are like, well, I don't want to be a housewife. I want to have a job. Who said you can't have both? She does all of this. She's aware of what's going on in her house. And where is it? Yeah. It says she speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. And that is what really hits me, is because I don't have enough wisdom. First of all, to pick a guy right now, let alone to get married and just be spewing out all this wisdom crud. Because, I gotta study Proverbs quite a few times. And I think that ultimately what it comes down to, and listen, it's still hard because like I said, I'll have a conversation with the Lord and he'll be like, really, Candace? Are you really ready for this? And he'll kind of put a scenario in my head. What are you gonna do about this? What are you gonna do about this? Do you really want to be intimate with somebody right now? Because that's a pretty vulnerable state to be in. And I'm like, no. And he's like, see, you don't. And I don't actually want it, but I want it because we're all humans, okay? We're all secretly kind of little kids in a way. So, I'll be over here pouting, oh my gosh, I just want a man. And then he's like, no, you don't. I'm like, I don't, but I do. I got sick a few weeks ago. I don't remember how long ago. And I was sitting in my bed. I'm not going to go into details because it was nasty, but I was sick. And I remember thinking I would not want him to see me like this. If he was like, oh, baby, I'm going to come bring you some soup, I'd be like, leave it. I'll say the door. I didn't want somebody to come sit next to me. And that's another thing. We don't think about how vulnerable marriage is. And ultimately, what it comes down to, and what we just have to remind ourselves over and over again, because like I said, even though I know I'm not ready for it, even though I know I don't want it yet, you still kind of want it. Because there are pros, but we just have to remember that we have to have faith in the Lord, that you know what, he's got timing for everything. I believe it's in Isaiah. There's a time to laugh, there's a time to cry, there's a time to dance. And if it's meant for you, for I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord. If it's in his plans, it's gonna happen. And we don't have to worry about whether or not, oh my gosh, if I don't go out every weekend, I'm not gonna meet him. Oh honey, the Lord works in mysterious ways. Don't worry about it. And just pray, work on you, because while you're working on you, hopefully He's working on him too, because you want to be your best for him and you want him to be his best for you. But bottom line, it's all going to be okay. Because our God is an awesome God. Amen.